FearScape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
Hi, friends. This is Kelly with Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking, the podcast where I get just absolutely hammered and I dole out psychological advice. That's right, I am going to be more drunk than that girl you met in the bar bathroom after your karaoke set who said, "You have such good stage presence. Oh my God." That's right, zero preparation, multiple drinks, countless profound gems. Tune in the last Monday of every month on FearScape Media Network.
Hi, do you enjoy diving into true crime
and tales of the paranormal?
Then join us. I'm Anna.
And I'm Lindsay. On our podcast, Ghosts in the Attic, Bodies in the Basement,
a FearScape Media Network podcast.
New episodes air every other Friday on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you for tuning in to FearScape Paranormal Podcast. We are on a journey to understand and to discover the phenomena that seems to exist all around the globe. We invite you to join us on this journey into the unknown.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another frightening and spooky episode of FearScape Paranormal Podcast. My name is Stefan, and I'm one of your hosts of FearScape Paranormal Podcast here on the FearScape Media Network. I've got chills up my spine, but I feel like it's the devil that's making me do this. But I have to introduce my co-host, Mr. Josh Rutledge. I mean, you look like Lucifer, Beelzebub, and Baal all had a baby and made you.
Well, I am horny, so
you are the Lord of the Flies.
And the devil's in the details is what they say.
The devil is in the details. So in case you've heard us, the devil made me do it. That is because we are going to be talking about tonight the case that inspired the new movie coming out here in 2 days on HBO Max and in theaters, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. The Arne, Cheyenne,
Johnson.
Thank you. You just say what it's called, Josh. You just say what it's called.
The Arne Cheyenne Johnson case.
Correct. That is made famous, of course, by the Warrens having their fingers diddling and everything. But this is the famous case, the first and I think we said only time that the plaintiff's defense was that he was possessed by the devil.
Right. Yep.
And not pleading insanity, right? Just literally just saying I was possessed.
Literally say, yep. I'm not insane. I was literally possessed by the devil. That's the only reason I did it.
Tweren't my fault. You see, what had happened was the devil jumped in me.
I tripped and fell.
So needless to say, we wanted to talk about this whole case, the trial of Arne Cheyenne Johnson, the whole kit and caboodle, this murder, everything that took place, the Warrens' fingers in it, and how it all led to a new movie coming out. We wanted to make sure to talk about that. Plus, because we love anything dealing with the Warrens, whether it's a hoax or not, it's just good fun. So we're going to be talking about that. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and get to our first segment of the week, of course, which is the psychic word of the week.
And now, the psychic word of the week.
All right, psychic word of the week comes from the Encyclopedic Psychic Dictionary from the one and only Miss June G. Glatzel, PhD. Rest in peace, honey bear. Represent. So we flipped through the pages, landed on page 596, and the first phrase that caught my eye was subconsciously willed. Subconsciously willed, which is ironic, of course, as usual. This says a mental or physical psychic experience that is thought to be unplanned, undesired, and unwilled, happening spontaneously and at random, excluding the psychic experience that is brought on by crisis from one's lifestyle, a deceased person or loved one. No guide from the higher realms will thrust his or her will upon the psychic to display signs of phenomena or urge to intervene with the psychic unless called upon. The subconscious mind cannot make a decision by itself, therefore cannot be blamed for the surfacing without permission. Theory: unplanned psychism is a hidden desire in the subconscious mind. The individual wishes to excel in some phase of his or her life, wishes secretly to increase his or her psychic skills, or used psychism freely in a past life, and is now surfaces from a past life agreement. Psychic and mediumistic skills should be controlled by the psychic at all times. So subconsciously willed.
So that's your subconscious using a psychic skill that you have dormant.
Correct.
Or unaware of.
Yes.
That's not someone else's subconscious messing with
Correct. So that's why I thought it was ironic that that's what we flipped to, because it almost feels like possession. Like, you know, if possession's not a real thing, right? If it is a subconscious thing, that is legit. That it's, you know, so it's like it's your subconscious taking over your conscious.
Interesting.
Psychically. So very, very interesting indeed. But yeah, I don't want that to happen to me.
No, and it's interesting for me because I am trying to grow my own skill set, if you will, in this area. And so it's something that now I have to be aware of, and because, you know, one of the definitions there, it said that someone who wants to expand their own, you know, psychic ability can accidentally or inadvertently.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the first phrase says unplanned. It is unplanned. You know, so be careful. So I guess we'll get moving on to the next bit here. But I did want to remind folks to go ahead and rate and review the show if you haven't done already yet. I wanted to knock this out ahead of time. Just go ahead. It helps us out a lot wherever you're listening to your podcast. Rate, review, share, all that jazz. We love you. Moving on. So I wanted to because I got somebody picking at my toes underneath me, because he is ready to talk about Cryptid of the Week, because it's been a minute. So Jersey Devil is ready. So let's get into Cryptid of the Week.
Hi, y'all. It's the Jersey Devil. Hope y'all are ready to meet some of my friends.
Cryptid of the Week.
Hi, y'all. Stefan said I could come right up to the microphone and I could talk today. And I wanted to tell you that I wanted to do the Spotsville Monster. He's a friend of mine. I tell you what, he's a really good friend of mine, and I used to try to put Tide on him all the time to try to remove those spots, and he says, "No, you fool, I'm from Spotsville. I don't have spots on me."
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you for
additional
the
introduction,
JD. We appreciate it. Be on the lookout. We got Jersey Devil, some cool stuff coming out with Jersey Devil. I'm just letting you know.
Y'all gonna tell him about Santosh?
Santosh did a I don't even know what you call it. Like, you know, where you paint someone, you know, like
caricature.
Caricature is more cartoony, but this looks exactly like him. So, but did a private session where they drew him, and so be on the lookout soon. We're hopefully going to have some T-shirts and stickers and stuff with the Jersey Devil. You're going to love it because he's beautiful. Anyway, Spotsville Monster is what we have. The reason that we chose this tonight was that we haven't done a Kentucky one yet. and so wanted to hit this one up. This one actually comes from Spotsville, Kentucky. So the Spotsville Monster, which is essentially a Bigfoot-like creature. But here's the thing here from Cryptid Wiki. Says during the year of 1975 in Spotsville, Kentucky, the Nunnally family home was terrorized by mysterious 8-foot tall creatures. Now, Nunnally is a very big family name in Kentucky. I believe even a parkway named after them. Could be wrong on that. Their nightmare was written about in the newspapers and even broadcast on TV shows. But the mystery as to what was roaming the quiet western Kentucky town outside of Henderson remains. On Sunday, I don't know why it says on Sunday, but so Bart Nunnally, which is one of the family members, he described what happened on their property. And so here's kind of how him and his family felt about the strange things that took place on the farm. So this is a very particular story. There's not a lot of other sightings that I could find besides the Nunnally family. So here's their story. The Spotsville Monster was considered to have had various encounters with that family, was supposedly big, hairy, supernatural Bigfoot type monster, and there was other strange phenomena as well in the lonely bottomlands of western Kentucky. The bulk of the work centers on the 11-month ordeal experienced there by the Nunnally family in 1975. The remainder is the result of 20 years of investigative field research into the area and the occupants of Mound Ridge Road from 1935 to the present. So the story begins in that year, 1935, with a devout widower and her 2 children residing in a small, isolated farmhouse on Mound Ridge Road. At this time, the area was part of a really small town, but its population was dwindling fast because of a frightening monster said to dwell in the foreboding forests there. After a traumatic encounter, people left the area as well. And I mean, that people just were like gone because of this monster, these stories of this monster. So already, this is 1935. This is even before the big sighting, right? So then we jumped to 1975 as the Nunnally family, having had a ton of years unhappy in the city, decided to move to the country, and they make their entrance there. Eager to return to the simplicity of country living, the Nunnally family ignores the warning given them by the current residents about said monster, and they waste no time moving in. So here we are 40 years later, and people are still like, y'all crazy for moving here? We've put up with it. We leave our babies on the step and we let them eat our dogs. Y'all are dumb for making it.
Well, and that kind of stuff sticks around in the community anyway. So.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, it says the Nunnallys are already a somewhat troubled and unusual family. I feel like that's the, just in case, you think that this is real, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it here. But anyways, it's always like the back door there. So we've got Red. Red is the husband and father to 6 young children. He's rough and tumble. He's no nonsense. He suffers from glaucoma. They are at heart simple country folk forced to live in the city by a series of strange encounters with the unknown at their previous country home 3 years earlier. Disturbing memories forgotten in the hope of a better life quickly resurface when their farm animals begin to disappear. Enter Roy. This is a great story. Enter Roy, a fearless local firefighter and expert tracker hunter who happens to live just a short distance away. While hunting in the area one day, he becomes aware of the monster's existence and sets off to warn the Nunnallys, thus beginning a lasting friendship with the family. As the encounters with the creature become more intense, and fearing that his friend's failing eyesight might hinder his ability to safely guard his family, Roy takes it upon himself to track and kill the creature and thus protect the Nunnallys and his own 2 children. He is drawn into a series of frightening encounters with the Spotsville Monster, which make clear its terrifying supernatural nature. It can appear and disappear at will. walk over freshly turned dirt without leaving tracks, and no bullet of any caliber can pierce his hide. Mutilated animals are found, as well as supposed UFOs glide silently beneath the surface of the nearby Green River. Local authorities, with their own agenda concerning the creature, forced Roy to turn over all of his evidence and give false statements to the media. After an encounter with the monster which leaves him clinically dead, Roy somehow manages to survive on will alone and succeeds in warning his friends to take his wife and children and flee the area at once. The story ends with a particularly disturbing dream sequence where Roy tells that he discovers the remains of his wife and children savagely violated by the creature and falls victim to it himself. He then awakens with the strong feeling that this story, which is unique and disturbing on many levels, is not over.
Well, okay then.
The Spotsville Monster.
Yeah, really. That is.
I was like, that's a movie script, man. Like,
yeah, for real. I mean, it's.
You need to get on that shit.
Oddly enough, so Shelbyville, Kentucky, where my family live out there, and I lived there for a while. There's two main funeral homes in Shelbyville, Kentucky, and one of them is Nunnally Funeral Home. So
it's a big name, dude.
Yep.
It's a big name. It looks like there's even a statue of the monster in Spotsville that
Does it
you
have
can
butt
see.
cheeks?
And they did. There is a documentary that was done called "The Spotsville Monster: Kentucky's Bigfoot." It was on an episode of Monsters and something or other. I can't remember the name of that show that's out there, but somebody was talking about how on the big network show, the Monsters and Legends or whatever it was, that the sound that the Spotsville Monster made, they were almost certain was just they took the TIE Fighter sound from Star Wars. Oh, shit.
Does the statue have a butt like the Mothman, or?
It only shows me from the front, so I don't know.
Figure that out. So
yeah. If y'all could send me a 360 picture, that'd be great. I appreciate it. Now I'm gonna have to see how far Spotsville is from Somerset, since we're gonna be there this year. Like, maybe we could pop on down to Spotsville.
Henderson, I think, is on the other side. It said it was close to Henderson, so
yeah, I
think Henderson is like down around like Hopkinsville or something. So that might be the other side of the state.
Well, it said Western Kentucky, so
yeah.
But
anywho,
yeah. Spotsville is up it's up closer to the Ohio River, so it's over west of Owensboro. So yeah, it's actually probably not far from Kelly and stuff like you were just talking about. So.
Yep.
Weird stuff be happening in that area, y'all. Get out. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to our final segment, which is UAP sighting of the week. All right, Josh, what do we got for UAP sighting of the week? Our unidentified aerial phenomenon UFO sighting of the week, which is, every episode we're getting closer to disclosure. So,
yep.
What do you got?
Yeah, so this actually happened on May 25th of this year in Brooklyn, New York. And it involved a giant triangular UFO. So something that I didn't think existed outside of like Western United States. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just always hear about them in Arizona, New Mexico, all that stuff.
Sure,
out there.
yeah, I've heard of Chevron ones out in the Midwest and stuff. But yeah, I guess I really haven't heard much on the other side of things.
So goes like this. I walked out of the supermarket just after 11 p.m. at night and stopped at the zebra crossing waiting to cross. To my right, I noticed 3 orange lights in the sky in a triangle formation low in the sky, gliding silently northwards, coming from what appeared to be near the river in Williamsburg towards Manhattan. I instantly pulled out my phone and shot the footage, being sure to keep my hands still and to zoom in. I'm used to seeing planes and helicopters in the area, but this struck me as very unusual. Straight away, and having a keen interest in this sort of thing, I knew I had to film it. I believed I was watching 3 separate craft fly in formation at the time. They were emitting a steady, soft orange glow. On further inspection of the footage, however, I believe it to be a giant triangular-shaped craft. It disappears behind the buildings as shown in the video. I then crossed the road and witnessed it more where I took a brief second video. Another pedestrian was looking at it and exclaimed to me, "What the hell is that?" After the craft disappeared behind another building, I ran to the end of the road to the intersection of Graham and Metropolitan Avenue and turned north to where I should have been able to see the craft, but it had disappeared out of sight. Which struck me as unusual, as it had only taken me 10 seconds or so to run down the road to try and see it. All the time I heard no noise from any planes or helicopters, but obviously there was traffic noise.
And I've watched the video. I mean, it's pretty crazy what you see. I mean, it's 3 points of light in a triangle, type shape, and the 3 points of light never change their relationship to each other. They pretty much stay in that same formation as it moves across the sky. And I mean, it's dark, like it's nighttime, so you can't see if there is actually a physical craft or not. All you can see is the 3 lights, and it's weird because they're like, if it is a 3-dimensional object, then it's almost positioned at like either a 90 degrees or like a 45-degree angle to the person. It's almost like if you imagine like a banking aircraft, how the wings kind of come up and it banks to one side. That's what it would have been like, but with just the 3 lights visible. And it's moving really slow, and they're really spaced out. I mean, in looking at it, I don't think it's an airplane. So.
There are 3 lights.
So, but yeah, it's anybody has a MUFON membership, you can go check it out.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I agree with you. Pretty interesting to see a triangle shape out there. Very, very interesting. I love that shit, man. Because I'm out in triangle-shaped city out here, so especially now, with us seeing those triangle-shaped ones that the Pentagon released or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's very, very interesting as well. So pretty snifty, y'all. But yeah, all right. So thank you, Josh, for that UAP sighting of the week. You guys can always send in your own UAP sighting to us as well, to fearscapepodcast@gmail.com, or submit that damn sighting on our website, fearscapepodcast.com. All right, Josh, we're going to go ahead and take a very, very brief break. And as soon as we come back, we're going to be talking about the Devil Made Me Do It case. We're going to be talking about that. So stick around.
Hello, Blanket Huggers. Stefan here. On March 28th, 2021, Josh and I received a message through our website's Submit a Sighting form from someone claiming to be Terry R. Rist, the man referenced in Hellier and the man interviewed by Alan Greenfield in Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts. From there, we received a number of cryptic emails filled with information on places to search for answers to the larger mystery of the quest and journey Josh and I have been on. So we decided, fake or not, we should take it seriously, as much of the information given panned out and definitely opened our eyes to many new things. So we enlisted the help of Astral Stew co-host Santosh and FearScape guest and Greenfield's publisher Olaf Phillips. Together, the 4 of us have been digging deeper and deeper into not only the true identity of our source of paranormal gold, whether he is the Terry Rist or not, but also into the mystery of the information given us. It has led us to some amazing doors into such things as the secret space program, Hollow Earth, Darrow and Tarot, caves, underground bases, government cover-ups and conspiracies, and so much more. So if you would like to learn more about these emails, Terry's advice on where to look for more high strangeness, and our conversations and discoveries thus far, please become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon called Wristwatch at fearscapepodcast.com/support, or patreon.com/FearScapePod. There you can get access to the emails themselves, the WhatsApp conversation about it all with Josh, myself, Santosh, and Olaf, and even any new clues that we have found. You can even join the investigation and add anything you have found to help us dive deeper into the mystery. You will also get access to other FearScape-related things, such as extended interviews with guests not aired on the show, early access to Estes sessions with us and friends, and so much more. Wristwatch is a Patreon exclusive for our most dedicated fans. Join today and discover why the truth is now.
And we're back. Thank you guys so much for sticking around after the break. We love you guys very, very much. Thank you guys. So yeah, I'm super pumped to talk about this, Josh, because I am a huge fan of the Conjuring universe, the Conjuring movies. I know some of them are duds, but I still love them. I love an interconnected horror universe. But the Conjuring movies particularly, I love. Conjuring 1 and 2 were just absolutely phenomenal, and I love that. And so we've had a chance to talk to Andrea Perrin, who was one of the kids from the very first Conjuring movie. We talked about the case for the second movie, which was the one in England that I can't remember.
Is that the Enfield haunting?
Enfield haunting. Thank you very much. We talked about that. So let's talk about the third one, man. Let's talk about this. Not Arne Anderson from WWF case, but Arne Cheyenne Johnson. Devil Made Me Do It trial. Let's get crack-a-lackin', man. So what's going on here?
Yeah, so first of all, let me say that when I first started looking into this, I thought it was Anne Cheyenne Johnson, and I thought it was a chick, but it was not. So it is a guy. But anyway, so because the R and the N kind of run together a little bit. But anyways, so yeah, this in short, I'm going to preface it by saying he killed someone and then in court used the defense that the devil made him do it.
Thank you, and that's our show. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy.
But obviously there's a lot more to it. But it is, I mean, so this all took place in a small little town called Brookfield, Connecticut. And the actual murder took place on February 16th, 1981, but really it started in the summer of 1980.
Right, and this is not to be confused with The Haunting in Connecticut, which is a completely different Warren story.
Yeah. So in the summer of 1980, so you've got Arne Johnson, and he's engaged to a woman named David Glatzel, very, very good German Norwegian name, Glatzel. Yeah. And she's got a little brother who is about 11 years old, and his name is David. And in the summer of 1980, David claimed that he had repeatedly encountered an old man who would taunt him.
So immediately I'm thinking of that creepy guy from Family Guy. I'm like, stay away from him. You do not want a popsicle in from his basement. Just stranger danger.
Yeah, really. Watch out for his dog too.
Or I think of the old man from Poltergeist 2. The creepy old man. He messes me up. Caroline.
Yeah, I don't get any of these references because I don't watch horror movies. So
there's something wrong with you. Poltergeist movies are great. Well, the first one.
I mean, I've seen the first one when I was a lot younger. I mean, I used to watch horror movies, but they're too disturbing for me, and they mess me up, so I just can't do it anymore.
As you got older, they got more disturbing.
Yeah.
I feel like as an adult, you should be okay now.
Well, the problem is that as an adult, I realize, and especially since doing this show, that a lot of this shit has the potentiality of being real, and so that it brings a whole new level.
The thing is that most like paranormal type movies that are out there are loosely based or even slashers are loosely based off of a real story, much like Psycho, the Leatherface movies, and The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and maybe one more. They were all based off of Ed Gein, he literally killed women, and he created a suit out of skin and had lampshades made out of Silence of the Lambs. That
Silence
was
of the
also
Lambs.
based
It
off
sounded
that.
like that.
But Poltergeist, I just found out recently, I think I shared this with you, that Poltergeist, I found out, was there's a real story that inspired Spielberg to make the movie.
But yeah, so I mean, bottom line, I don't watch horror movies anymore because I know that most likely that it's based on some level of actual experience. And as we're getting into this kind of stuff, it would be difficult for me to stand around in the woods at night with you and Santosh, having watched all these horror movies.
Why do you think I am the way that I am? I love horror movies, but they bother me in real life because of that.
But you need me. You need me to push me forward towards the graves.
Yeah, because I ain't pushing Santosh. He'd scratch my eyes out.
And so if I watch all the horror movies, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to pass out and push you forward.
But yeah, there's a creepy old man who is the main bad guy in Poltergeist 2, and he is super creepy and has bothered me since I was a kid. So that's what I think of seeing a ghostly old man.
So he repeatedly encountered an old man who would taunt him. At first, Johnson and Glatzel thought David was just trying to get out of doing chores, because I don't want to do my chores, so I'm going to invent a story that an old man is taunting me. That seems like a logical thing to do.
Are you kidding me right now? Okay. Sounds like my dad. My dad'd be like, bullshit.
Every time my dad asked me to do something I didn't want to do, I just had to go to the bathroom, and that's how I just go I'd take a really long shit. So
you've been in there for 4 hours, son.
Yeah. I mean, my legs fell asleep. I don't know which one to do. So anyway, so they kind of, initially dismissed it. But the encounters continued, and they grew more frequent and more violent. So a couple of times, David would wake up crying hysterically, describing visions of a man with big black eyes, a thin face, and animal features, jagged teeth, pointed ears, horns, and hooves.
Classic Devra.
Yeah.
Classic Devra. Now, this is something... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we talk about a lot of times how things are misinterpreted, and I'm wondering, is this a satyr, for example, that's mistaken as the devil?
Right, so like a pan type creature. Yeah, maybe. I was thinking though too, I'm like, we've talked about this before. You're with your girls, you're like, what would I do if they came to me? And what do we say? Should we believe them? And it's like, had they just believed, let's go ahead and just assume right away that this kid is seeing what he's seeing. He's not having mental hallucinations. He's legit seeing what he's seeing. If his parents had believed right away, could it have not manifested that further down the road, because they could have immediately gone and gotten help, someone that could have helped remove that spirit from the home?
Well, so I mean, they did actually go and ask their priests at a local church to bless the home,
right?
But that didn't really do anything. So, because when there's a hooved man taunting your 11-year-old son, there's nothing like hitting him with some water. That's kind of just
some water.
But anyways,
but that's my point. It's like, I think at that point it had time to gain power, right?
Yeah.
And so if they'd have done it right in the very get-go, it could have, gotten it. And it's the same thing. And this is no offense to people like Keith. I love you, Keith. I love you guys and everything you guys do. But I feel like when people hire these ghost hunters to come in, they do expect Ghostbusters. And, it's like you're just coming in and going, yep, you got something. Bye. And, or nope, you're dumb. And I don't think that's what people are looking for. They're looking for help. And I think that that's why people like the Warrens were so popular because they weren't just saying, hey, we're going to come in and set up film equipment just to see if you're real or not. Like, we're going to help. We're going to...
Right.
I said circumcise, but I meant exercise the demon.
Yeah, they're going to put him on the elliptical, and he's going to run out of steam.
Yes,
and
that's exactly what I meant.
Disapparate
on his Peloton and
so, but you make a good point in that. I think that's also why the Warrens were given a really long rope as far as like to do things. And so there's, with every single one of their cases, there's some controversy that they said they did something, but yet they weren't really empowered to do those things like exorcisms and all of that kind of stuff. So
the thing about the Warrens is that the Warrens still did as much scientific research as possible first. As far as I know. I mean, I never followed them around personally, but from everything I've read, they still did that. They invited folks to do all this stuff, and then they also waited for proof too. And when they found something, that's when they acted.
Yeah. So this is where so after the church nearby came to bless the home, they contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren to see if they could lend a hand. And Ed and Lorraine Warren, this is my own opinion, saw dollar signs on the wall. No, I'm just playing. But
about when was this?
So I don't have a timing for when this was. So this is back when, again, David is experiencing all this. This is before Arne actually got possessed or any of that kind of stuff. This is back when David is just experiencing all of this turmoil.
Into the 70s, early.
No, this all started in summer of 1980.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Like, when did this all start?
Okay, I thought you were trying to say when did Lorraine and Ed step in.
No. Just I was trying to figure out when like David started having these things start happening.
Yeah, so summer of 1980. So he's 11.
So needless, what my point was too is at this point the Warrens had gained fame.
Yes.
So
also an interesting note here, people talk about poltergeist potentially being related to people going through puberty. Mm-hmm. David is 11 at the time that this is happening, so that's preteen, pre-puberty.
And if there was any sort of abuse or trauma, I mean that could exasperate.
Yeah.
Exasperate it.
But we've got a quote here that says that he would kick, bite, spit, swear, and he would experienced strangling attempts by invisible hands, and powerful forces would flop him rapidly head to toe like a rag doll. So Johnson, back to Arne, he would actually stay with the family to help however he could. But David's nightly terrors began to seep into the daytime as well. And David described seeing an old man with a white beard dressed in a flannel shirt and jeans.
It's like rugged Santa.
Yeah. And as the child's visions continued, suspicious noises started emanating from the attic. David started hissing, having seizures, speaking in strange voices.
This is sounding, not to compare it, but it sounds a lot like Roland Doe.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those same things were happening there.
Yep. Quoting John Milton's Paradise Lost and the Bible.
Oh, wow. And here's the other thing, man. Anything demon possession related after Exorcist always gets thrown out because they're like, oh, he just saw Exorcist and was just trying to make money off of it. So, yeah, that irritates me.
So the Warrens reviewed the case and they concluded that this was a case of demonic possession.
Yeah. And I do want to put this out here, okay? I'm not one to usually defend the Warrens because, yes, I do think that they bent some things sometimes, but I also know there were a lot of cases where they were like, there's nothing happening here. We're sorry, goodbye. And those never get referenced because people are just like, they did all these cases and they just did it all for money. I'm like, yeah, but they also said a lot of cases no.
Yeah.
So
they did have David checked out by a number of psychiatrists who investigated the case, and they came to the conclusion that David had a learning disability.
Okay. What does that have to do with seeing monsters?
Yeah, or speaking in tongues, or
I was like,
quoting John Milton's Paradise. I mean, where the fuck did that?
I was like, if he had a learning disability, how was he able to memorize Paradise Lost?
Yeah,
at 11.
At 11, right? So
because like I know a few of my friends that have learning disabilities or dyslexia or things like that, and that would be extremely difficult as an adult.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know any learning disability that results in hissing, being, you know,
oh my God, is that math? Is it, 2 plus 2?
You know, being felt like you're being choked by invisible hands.
Oh my God.
Tossed around like a rag doll. Yeah. So anyways, I mean, I feel like learning disability is the swamp gas of demonic possessions.
It's the new swamp gas. It is the weather balloon.
Yeah.
Same thing with making it up for money. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So the Warrens claimed that over the course of 3 subsequent exorcisms oversaw by priests, David levitated, cursed, and even stopped breathing.
Okay, so these were non-Ed Warren exorcisms. They actually called in priests for this. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It says oversaw by priests.
Well, that was a common... Oh, wait. It was oversaw by the priests or oversaw by Ed?
Oversaw by priests.
Oh, so then Ed did do it.
So
then.
Ed did it. Priests were present.
With the help with the priests. Okay. Never mind. I take back what I said.
Yeah. It says perhaps even more astonishingly, David allegedly predicted the murder that Arne Johnson would eventually commit.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
By October of 1980, so then again, it started in summer of 80. So here we are in October of 1980. So this is like what, 5 months?
Yeah.
Into all this craziness happening.
Johnson's love. It was not.
Yeah. Johnson started taunting the demonic presence, telling it to stop bothering his fiance's brother, quoting here, "Take me on, leave my little buddy alone."
Oh my God, sounds like George Lutz. He did that shit too. Or he would.
So, it says here that. So, oh, crap! I lost it. Sorry.
But yeah, that's that George Lutz, Zach Baggins way of, of ghost work. But at that point, I mean, the Warrens were apparently just like, we did 3 exorcisms. I don't know what else to do. We're gonna go back to our mansion.
Here it is. Here's where I was going to point out. So, at some point prior to the murder, Johnson had allegedly investigated a well in the same area where his fiance's brother claimed to experience his first encounter with the malicious presence.
So now we're getting into the ring.
Yeah, so the Warrens warned Johnson not to go near the same well, but he did anyway, perhaps to see if the demons truly took over his, body. Johnson later claimed that he saw a demon hiding within the well who possessed him until after the murder.
I mean, that is a classic myth. There are a number of stories of demons or evil entities that do indeed hide in wells, so that's creepy in and of itself.
Well, and it reminds me of Lock and Key. That show on Netflix
when she was hanging out. Yeah, with the comic book too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the ring, like I said, the ring girl comes up out that well. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. How's it go again?
Blah, blah, blah.
So
that's the Japanese version.
Yeah.
The American version goes blah blah blah.
That's the vampire version. So jumping a little bit ahead of time, in getting back into the actual murder and what happened with the murder.
Spoiler alert.
There was a murder, in case you didn't know. But So in February 16th, 1981, so Arne Cheyenne Johnson stabbed his landlord. Now it says here that Arne Johnson was he did work as a tree surgeon, amputating limbs, I guess.
Yeah, no, that is what it is. It really is.
But his landlord, though, Bono, I guess it's Bono. Would it be Bono or Bono?
I mean, it depends on whether it's you two or if it's Sonny and Cher.
Maybe it's Bono. Anyways, but
yeah, I would say Bono.
Yeah, his
name.
Yeah, his landlord Bono managed a kennel. The two were purportedly friendly and often met up near the kennel. Johnson even sometimes calling in sick in order to work in order to do so. But on February 16th, 1981, a vicious argument broke out between them. At around 6:30 p.m., Johnson suddenly drew out a pocket knife and aimed it at Bono. Bono was stabbed multiple times in the chest and stomach, and then was left to bleed to death.
Ugh, with a pocket knife. Ugh.
This is a Swiss Army knife, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Or, I mean, there's some big pocket knives out there. Don't get me wrong.
That's true. Would you consider your Rambo knife a pocket knife?
Yeah.
If you can fit it in your pocket, it's a pocket knife.
I mean, this is Connecticut, so I'm going to say Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
If this was Kentucky, I'd be like, oh, man's got a Bowie knife.
Bowie knife, yeah.
He's got a freaking foldable machete in his pocket.
Yeah, really. Like my brother used to always have all those.
Yep.
But, so at some point, the police later arrested Johnson about an hour after it all happened, and they said that the two men had simply been fighting over Johnson's fiancee Debbie, but the Warrens insisted there was more to the story.
Okay, so at this point, we've got two separate stories, because we got the story with the kid seeing the devil and him seeing the devil in the well. And then we have this completely separate case that may have nothing to do with that, of him getting into a fight with his friend / landlord, Alan Bono, and stabbing this man to death, possibly, which we said over his wife. So maybe the guy was trying to
fiance
or whatever. Yeah. But the Warrens said,
So
a little bit more here.
If we are, and this is very speculative, okay? So this is just me thinking about things. If we are to assume, based on what it says here in the article, that he and his landlord were friends. Johnson, it says, would call in work sometimes in order to hang out with his landlord at his kennel, right? So they're friends. Mm-hmm. Johnson has now spent the last, let's call it 8 months, dealing with the craziness of his fiance's brother.
Right.
So I would imagine that Bono is probably like, why are you still with her? Is this really worth it?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And so
probably,
they get into
because he's probably going to him about everything.
Right. And so, the stress and the strain of having to deal with all this over the last 7 or 8 months, and then your, seemingly best friend in the world, so to speak, if you're calling in work to hang out with somebody, that's a pretty good friend. Maybe he starts questioning, how much and more of this are you going to take? Is she really worth it? You should just walk away. They get into a big heated argument about it.
And Debbie, I don't think we've mentioned this, but Debbie worked for Bono as well as a dog groomer. Okay. So there may be some of that in there as well. Yeah. There's a
lot of things
wrong. Dealing with money and friendship and rent and demon
possession.
Or a good combo.
Or just at a minimum, soon to be brother-in-law and all the craziness that's happening around that. So, trying to be there for your fiance and all the craziness that she's dealing with everything and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I could see him confiding in Bono and Bono saying, hey man, when are you just going to fish or cut bait, so,
yeah.
But anyway, so he, let's see.
I mean, it's like, something that I read too was, of course, after all of that, the precognition and all the crazy stuff, especially about the murder and all that, around that time in October, like we said, the Warrens contacted the police. I mean, it's like you've already got this man now on the radar.
Yeah.
And then he ends up killing somebody, and it just, if I was the police, I'd be like, I mean, they already said there was a problem. This is open and shut.
Right. Well, and honestly, that's what they said, the police thought was going to happen. But then Johnson's attorney, Martin Manella, tried his best to enter a plea of not guilty by reason of demonic possession. He even planned to subpoena the priests who allegedly attended the exorcism, urging them to break tradition by speaking about their controversial rites. Over the course of the trial, Manila and the Warrens were routinely mocked by their peers, who saw them as profiteers of tragedy. I've got a quote here from mentalist George Kresge. It says, "They have an excellent vaudeville act, a good road show. It's just that this case more involves clinical psychologists than it does them."
So I was looking at this article here, and it talked about that day was even more so happened because it talks about here that Johnson called in sick that day to go. He actually was going to join Debbie at the kennel. And his sister Wanda was there, and of course Debbie's 9-year-old cousin Mary was also there. Bono, the couple's landlord and Debbie's employer at the kennel, bought the group lunch at a local bar and proceeded to drink heavily. So this is something that gets missed a lot, was the fact that they were all drinking, especially Johnson. After lunch, the group returned to the kennel. Debbie then took the girls to go get pizza, and insisted they return quickly because she was having a premonition of trouble. When they returned, Bono was super intoxicated at this point. He became agitated. Everyone left the room at Debbie's urging except Bono, who seized Mary, the 9-year-old little cousin, and refused to let go. Johnson headed back to the apartment and ordered Bono to release Mary. Wanda, this is what Wanda, the sister of Debbie, told, Johnson's sister told police. She said that Mary ran for the car as Debbie attempted to mitigate the situation by standing between the two men. Wanda tried in vain to pull Johnson away. Johnson began growling like an animal, then drew it's a 5-inch pocket knife and stabbed Bono repeatedly, and then Bono died there. So it looks like they were a little drunk too, and I feel like that gets lost a lot. Was that they were both intoxicated heavily. Well, and then he snatched up this little girl. But like, don't be snatching up a little girl.
Right. Yep. Well, and it's it's interesting here about Johnson's attorney made a statement. The courts have dealt with the existence of God. Now they're going to have to deal with the existence of the devil. Right,
because that's what we're getting to is the trial, because where he claimed that the devil made him do it.
Right. So. Now, the judge did ultimately throw out the plea. So this is Judge Robert Callahan. He rejected the plea, basically saying that such a defense would be impossible to prove, and that any testimony on the matter was unscientific and thus irrelevant.
Good man.
Oh, Lord. It says here that the collaboration of 4 priests during the 3 exorcisms was never confirmed, and the Diocese of Bridgeport acknowledged their priest worked on helping David Glatzel during the difficult time. So they basically said, yeah, we helped, but we're not going to tell you if we did an exorcism or not.
Lord.
It says that the priest in question, meanwhile, were ordered not to speak on the matter publicly. I just don't understand why that is. I mean, I guess, you know, confession is sacred and protected or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't understand. You're not. It's not legally. Lawyers have, you know, client lawyer privilege, but I don't know how you would. Is there a legal precedent for priests?
I think it's the same. I mean, it's very similar to doctor patient. They do not have to. If they're, I think I've always heard that, like, if someone confesses a murder, they have to, but then I've heard the other side of things as well, that they don't. I think legally it's on religious grounds and they can't. So, but yeah, I don't know that for. Maybe
maybe it comes into question of, would it be, you know, some sort of religious persecution if legally you forced people to admit to something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a lawyer. Any lawyer listening to the show that would like to, I would love to know about it. But so we've got Reverend Nicholas Greco, Grieco, kind of like Geico, but
I was thinking Richard Grieco.
Yeah, Geico, I guess. But a diocese spokesperson said, no one from the church has said one way or the other what was involved, and we declined to say.
So then it makes you wonder, did an official exorcism happen, right? It was like off the books.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm not getting Pope is going to smack me. I can't be doing this.
So Johnson's lawyers were permitted to examine Bono's clothing. The lack of any blood, rips, or tears, they argued, could help support the claim of demonic involvement. However, no one in the court was convinced.
Wait, what? So there was no blood on this man's shirt?
No, yeah, it says lack of any blood, rips, or tears.
Now I'm confused. I'm like, this man was stabbed how many times?
How do you get, yeah, well, it says at least 5.
And there's no tears. There's no blood, but he's dead.
Yeah, there would have to, I mean, maybe he was shirtless.
He was Matthew McConaughey in it.
Yeah, I mean,
in October.
I don't know how you would have.
February, like,
because if you get stabbed, there's going to be, you know, where the knife goes in. I mean,
that's dumb.
Unless it's a dull knife and somehow it's stabbed with the shirt. You know, I mean, like it caught the shirt and stabbed.
I don't know. Somebody washed that shit.
Yeah. Oh, this was the shirt he was wearing. Yeah.
They
this
went
was
to their local Woolworths and got a copy.
So Johnson's legal team opted for a self-defense plea ultimately. And Johnson was convicted on first-degree manslaughter on November 24th, 1981, and sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
But he only served about 5.
Yeah, it's crazy because, so again, here it shows that Bono died several hours later. So maybe he cleaned up. But it says that these wounds, mostly to his chest, and one that stretched from his stomach to the base of his heart.
Yeah.
So something ain't right there. But yeah, Johnson was discovered 2 miles away from the site of the murder. And like, just
maybe
this is all kinds of, without the whole devil aspect, this is already some true crime shit that we need to get the girls from Ghosts in the Attic on.
You know, I'm wondering here if this article says we're permitted to examine Bono's clothes. I wonder if that should have been Johnson's clothes. Maybe Johnson's clothes didn't have any blood, rips, or tears.
Right. Now that
yeah.
I can.
So maybe it's just a misstatement here in the article. So, so it says that. So kind of moving on to, let's call it popular culture, involved.
Right, because even before popular culture, I mean, like, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but I mean, literally the day after the murder, Lorraine Warren was the first one to say to the police that Johnson was possessed at the time of the crime.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
which led, of course, Debbie to be like, oh yeah, he would like get into trance-like states. He would growl and hallucinate and have no memory of it. But none of this happened until after the Warrens.
Yeah.
Until Lorraine said he was possessed.
Well, and that's why I started tonight talking about all the stuff that was going down with David, because all that predates the murder. And so, you know, the Warrens did not get involved with Johnson's case. They were involved with David's case.
Right.
And then Johnson committed the murder. And so they were already there involved with
I mean, huge media blitz happened. And it was fueled in part by the Warrens, who love the cameras, and their agents had already promised that lectures, a book, and even a movie detailing the case were already in the works.
Yeah.
Within the weeks of the trial, like they were already on.
You know, but my point is that they were already there working with David.
Yeah.
And then this shit happened.
Yep. And
it wasn't like they came in specifically for it.
Yeah. And so they coined this as the demon murder trial. It looks like Martin Minella, who was Johnson's lawyer, said that he received calls from all over the world, people asking about the demon murder trial. I mean, he even traveled to England to meet with lawyers because there was a similar case, which I wanted to quickly just say real quick, of Michael Taylor that happened in 1974. He claimed demonic possession. So that happened in 1974 in England there. So then you had some other cases that, like, all of a sudden people were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We can do this?
This was the first time that it had happened in the U.S.
Yep.
So, and what's really, I don't remember if I said this early on or not, but that little town that where all this took place in Connecticut, this was the first murder in 193 years since the establishment of the town.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, it's like right off the bat, his lawyer was like, I want to submit a plea of not guilty by virtue of possession. Like right off the bat, man, like wasn't even like, you know, Your Honor, we want to take some time to talk. But he's like, he was possessed by the devil. Lorraine Warren said so.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, so David Glatzel, brother of Debbie, they had another brother named Carl. And he ended up actually suing the guy who wrote the book The Devil in Connecticut,
Gerald Brittle,
alleging that it violated his right to privacy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man, because you've got the jury. They're told they can't even consider demonic possession in any way, shape, or form. And they were legally not allowed to consider it. So the defense had to go with the self-defense, which, you know, is crazy on that. And so the dude was sentenced 10 to 20 years in prison. He only served 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got all this stuff, like all this money flowing in because you know, and Gerald Brittle's getting sued because his book's doing well.
Well, he's getting sued because he wrote about all this, which brought all this other attention onto the thing.
He did it with Lorraine Warren,
right?
You know, like not with the family,
right?
With Lorraine. That's probably why Lorraine was like, you know what, you go ahead and write this one.
Yeah. Well, and so Carl also claimed that it was all an intentional affliction of emotional distress. And he said that the whole thing was a hoax created by the Warrens to take advantage of his brother's mental health for money.
Oh, so now he's mentally messed up.
Well, I mean, we don't know what Carl ever thought through the entire thing. So I don't want to say that Carl.
Well, I'm just saying here now is this excuse that he had to be mentally disturbed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, Johnson served for about 5 years in prison. He was released in 1986. And he actually married his fiance while he was behind bars.
So she stuck by him? Okay.
Yep. And as of the writing of this article, which was in 2014, they were still together.
Have we contacted him? No. You know he's going to be all over the media right now.
I know.
But no, it's interesting that I want to know, A, what happened to David, and B, like, she was the one that was like, he would start growling and go crazy and do all this stuff, and then he murdered someone, and then she's like, yes, we still need to be together.
Yeah. Well, it says here that she maintains an interest in the supernatural and claims that Arne's biggest mistake was challenging, in quotes, the beast that possessed her younger brother.
That's crazy.
It says that you never take that step. This is, again, her speaking. You never challenge the devil. Arne started showing the same signs my brother did when he was under possession.
Interesting. I have so many questions. I'm like, did she move from the house? Was it attached to the house like the Smurl haunting? Like, you know, did it follow them? Like, what happened?
Or is this a situation where they had a dog die at the kennel and they buried it underneath an old tree and then it opened a gate to hell? Oh wait, that's a movie too.
Yeah.
I think it's called The Gate.
It is The Gate.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
With Steven, a young Steven Dorff.
See, I used to watch it. I just don't anymore.
That's a great one. That's not even horror, man. That's just an 80s awesome.
I don't know, those little dudes that like come out of the wall. Those are pretty freaky.
I just love the nerdy kid that's into death satanic metal. That's my favorite.
And then when the thing grabs the kid and like he opens his hand up and he's got a freaking eyeball in his hand. I mean, it's pretty freaky too.
It's a good one. Yeah, there's a sequel to that too. The Gate 2.
Yeah, I think I watched it too, but the house 2 was always best for me.
Oh yeah, House 2 is the best black comedy on the market, hands down.
Freaking hilarious. He's like, what is this, a cigarette lighter? Anyways, I'm sorry.
Dude, there's a good crossover episode for FearScape and Misters of the Dark. We should have you come on and do House 2.
Yeah.
Because both Lance and I love House 2.
So, all right. So that pretty much wraps what I was able to find about what's going on with Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, so, I'll go on a little bit more. So you've got Carl, like who sued, and then he wrote his own book. So he wrote his own book in 2007 called Alone Through the Valley about his version of the events surrounding his brother. So I find it really funny that you're like, oh, I need to sue you because there's money to be made here. And then Lorraine, of course, defended her work, saying that there were 6 priests who were involved in the incident, and they agreed at the time that the boy was possessed. And then Brittle, author of The Devil in Connecticut, says he wrote the book because the family wanted the story told, that Debbie and them gave him permission, and that he says to this day, I don't know if he's alive anymore, but from what I'm reading, this says that he has video of over 100 hours of interviews with the family, and that they all signed off on this book as accurate before it went to print. But the big thing that Carl got the most mad about is that it made it look like there was criminal and abusive acts that happened, and that really bothered him. Glatzel's father, Carl Sr., denies telling the author that his son was possessed. Johnson and Debbie, like we said, are now married. They wholeheartedly support the Warrens' account of demonic possession, especially because they're probably getting paid for the movie that's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and I think we talked about it a little bit before we actually started doing the show tonight, but there was another movie. It had like Andy Griffith in it.
Yes. So we got the Demon Murder Case, which is, man, I miss TV movies. Oh, I miss the old TV movies from the 70s and 80s. I watch a lot of them, especially the horror ones. They were great. They were groundbreaking, and they skirted the line. But the Demon Murder Case was on NBC, and yeah, it had Kevin Bacon in it, Cloris Leachman, and Andy Griffith. And I have got to find this movie because I want to watch it so bad, called The Demon Murder Case. And this was 1983, so this was only 2 years later.
I feel like, without even knowing, Andy Griffith probably either played the judge or probably the defense attorney.
Yeah, I was like a lawyer. This is pre Matlock.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need to see. I'm gonna check IMDb real quick. But yeah, there's a lot. I'm really excited about this movie because, just like we talked about, it is very famous for being the very first "The Devil Made Me Do It" type case. So very, very cool. The Demon Murder Case.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Andy Griffith, man.
Well, I it's funny because I remember watching when I was younger in Syndicate, the Andy Griffith show, and then of course watched Matlock years later. But he was in a lot of stuff. I never really realized when I was younger, but when I got older and the advent of the internet, I could look up all the things that Andy Griffith did, and he was in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he plays because they changed all the names. But I'm looking here. I mean, this freaking poster for this is insanely beautiful. But it not only does it have the people I mentioned, but also has Eddie Albert, who was your main dude from what's the name of that show? Green Acres. So the main guy from Green Acres, he's in it. He plays Father Dietrich, so he plays like one of the main priests. I mean, Richard Macer is in this. God, I mean, this is a stellar cast for the time. Definitely gonna have to try to find a copy of this somewhere.
Stellar cast, mediocre rating. No, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, I mean, it's got a 4.8 out of 10 on IMDb. But I mean, those TV movies always do. But yeah, I want to check that out. But yeah, thank you, Josh, for doing the work there and putting into this. What an amazing, just crazy set of events. God, I would love to have just been at that trial. Where they would just try to insert things here or there where they could, and you'd hear objection. We said we can't use the demon.
Also, really, when I was looking into detail around it, I actually found that it's actually referenced on several college law department websites.
Oh yeah, you had mentioned that. Yeah.
So I mean, it is a from a law study perspective, I'd imagine it's an interesting case to study. And the other thing I was going to say, it would be interesting to know, I think you have to have a newspapers.com account in order to do this, but to go back and look at newspapers from the time that have been digitized.
Our friend the theologian accidentally got charged for a whole nother year, so maybe we can use his account.
He'll loan it to us. But yeah, I mean, that's always a good little place to look at and see the newspaper clippings and things like that from the time. Is really interesting to see.
Yeah, so I'm interested. Like I said, I would love to see what David Glatzel feels about it today. What's going on with him? And things like that. I haven't been able to find anything, but I'm sure once this movie drops, we're going to be seeing a lot more news stories with them researching and looking into stuff. So,
I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I was David Glatzel, I would have changed my name.
Yeah, I mean,
because at 11, although this was going on, got the whole rest of your life to look forward to, and then this is going to hang over you because your last name is associated with it. So I don't know. I probably would have changed my name.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It depends to me, how he feels about it, because, does he feel like it really happened to this day, or does he feel like he maybe made it up? Did he go to therapy and the therapist told him that it was made up? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And I wonder how much, and you'll have to tell me because I'm not going to watch it. But I wonder how much the movie will go into David's aspect of the story.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, though, because the kid that plays David Glatzel is the kid that's from the House on Haunted Hill first season. This kid's amazing. I mean, he's such a great actor. And it does look like they are using the names of the Glatzels here. I don't see Bono in here, but I do see a Bruno. So I'm thinking maybe his family didn't sign off.
Yeah, that's probably what happened there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good movie. I love the Conjuring films. I mean, they gave us ghost movies again. After so long with slashers and teeny boppers, we finally got, really good ghost stories again. And that's why I like it so much.
Now, I like the movie The Others. Does that count as a ghost movie?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's a great movie. See, I could get you onto some films that are horror, but not necessarily considered horror, but they have paranormal elements to them.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think you'd like the Conjuring movies. They're really good. But anyways, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here. This is in no way, shape, or form are they a sponsor, but check out The Conjuring 3. Like we said, it premieres Friday. It's going to be on HBO Max as well as movie theater. I'm going to the theater to watch this bad boy, and I even have HBO Max. But yeah, check that out there. Do your own research. That's what we always say. Do your own research. Find the truth on your own. We're not going to say one way or the other. We're not going to fight. We may occasionally, like I do over Amityville, but this most things we say, come at it how you will and do your own research. And like I said, pay attention to the media, because I think we're going to be seeing a lot of interviews with some of the people here soon, going over the true stories of things. So very, very interesting to see. But again, Josh, thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, so great, good times. We're going to get out of here. But before we go, I wanted to just very briefly, again, remind people, if you're interested in supporting FearScape, there's a number of ways you can do that. You can go to fearscapepodcast.com/store or shop. I think both work. Or even to the media one. And then you can find all sorts of stuff, t-shirts, cups, mugs, all kinds of stuff. Misters of the Dark, we've got 4 different designs that are up right now that Lance, the man with no name, created, and they're fantastic. Just check that out. We've got all sorts of different designs that are up. I know the girls from Ghosts in the Attic, Bodies in the Basement, they got some stuff. All that goes to help the network or to help our show. The other way is by joining our Patreon, which we named Wristwatch, because the majority of it is, of course, us digging into the mystery of these emails that we've gotten from someone claiming to be Terry Wrist, we've gotten some new ones since the last time we were here, two or three new ones.
Two new ones
that have really opened some leads up, that have just made some connections and done some things that's mind-blowing.
And really solidified our direction of thinking that we were already kind of going down based on the previous
so we're really getting into a lot of like the underground bases and things like that, but some of it's actually pointing not far from myself and Olav. It's kind of almost in between the two of us. One of the areas that who shall not be named has pointed us in with some specific coordinates, some specific directions, all sorts of stuff that has led us to some stuff, and it's pretty remarkable. And if you guys want to join the investigation, we just don't have time to talk about it on here, and it's a great way to help support our show. Go to fearscapepodcast.com/support or go to patreon.com/fearscapepod. And you can join there and you join in on the investigation. Plus there's going to be all kinds of behind the scenes stuff for the it's not just the Terry Wrist stuff. There's lots of other stuff that we're going to be sharing on there over time and all that jazz. So anyways, wanted to get out of here. But before we go, wanted to quickly talk about our listener story. We got a couple in, and I wanted to share one of them. You can send in your listener story to fearscapepodcast@gmail.com. I also know that the ladies from Ghosts in the Attic, Bodies in the Basement, they're also looking for listener stories, and it is okay. You can share it to both. We do have two different demographics, so it's okay. But anyways, yeah. So the first one that I have here comes from Alberto, a listener from Texas, and this is what Alberto has to say.
So I had a near-death experience once. I died and I came back to life. I had a heart attack in my living room, and I feel like my soul detached from my body, and it flew up out of my body, and then I was there in this black void tunnel. I was scared. Then I saw this bright, colorful, golden radiant light at the end of a dark tunnel, and so I flew to it. And it was this portal, and it took me back to my living room, but I wasn't in my body. I was floating above my body, near the ceiling. I was just watching myself sit there in the chair. I was floating for, I think, 5 minutes. And then the strangest thing happened. A golden flying saucer type object or something came near me and shot something at my soul flying in the air, and immediately my soul dropped back into my body, and I was back in my body, and it felt like these radiant lights were just coming out of my eyes, and then I woke up and back to life and found myself sitting in my chair. I don't know what happened, but that's what I recall.
Well, I actually got cold chills during that entire thing. It chills over my body. That was amazing.
Yeah, I just something I've never seen in a like out of body experience is some sort of like golden saucer shaped thing that shot something at him, sending him back to his body. Like, oh, what happened?
I mean, it's almost kind of like the traditional "it's not your time" type message that people get. And I wonder. I've heard of accounts where people get that "it's not your time" message from past loved ones or from other things. So I wonder if perhaps Alberto is really into UFOs, and that was the symbolism used to tell him it's not your time.
Or these are the ancient gods.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, these are the ancient gods that are saying, you can't come to our dimension yet. It's not time. Somehow you have used your astral body or whatever it may be to flip to this dimension, but you're not supposed to be here.
Right. It's not time yet.
And it makes you wonder, how much is our soul or our astral body connected to our life force? You know, it's like if we are gone from our body, you know, with it just coming back, can that bring us back to life? I mean, the man said he had a heart attack, so it's like, you know, can that bring us back to life? Or
the
if
re-entry,
if we astral travel too long, can we lose our life? You know, or, you know, this is gonna sound silly, but it's, you know, it's like when you die in your dream, you could die in real life. Well, it's like, you know, what if you're astral traveling and something happened? I mean, I don't know if anything can happen. That's a Santosh question.
Yeah.
It's like, let's say something happens and you're in a battle or something and you dissipate. Does your body die too, or what?
No, in 5 seconds, you rematerialize and you start back over at your last checkpoint.
You respawn.
You respawn.
Oh, Lord. Anyways, let's get out of here, Josh. I just want to thank everyone for listening as usual. I think we will also next week have an Astral Stew episode coming out on YouTube, so make sure to check that out. We're going to be talking about demons, oddly enough. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so make sure to check that out on YouTube and, just support, your local, or not your local, but our podcast at the FearScape Media Network. You can go to fearscapemedia.com, all that stuff. Check out all the other pods, and let's get out of here. Thank you. This has been Stefan here at the FearScape Podcast, Paranormal Poopity Doo, with the FearScape Mirror-Doo. I love you, Keith Age. And this has been Stefan. Keep your eyes to the skies.
This has been Josh. The truth is now.
This is the Jersey Devil. No.
You do not get a sign off. Remember, folks, hold those blankets extra tight. Things tend to get spooky when you're listening to FearScape. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We hope you have enjoyed this guidepost on the road of high strangeness with us. And we thank you, as always, for listening and joining our caravan to the weird and unknown. Please consider supporting us as we continue our journey to find the answers we all seek. FearScapePodcast.com/support.